S26 Ultra is while getting some changes, but can it stand against the Galaxy S25 Ultra with such changes? Although S25 Ultra is on the lowest price from Samsung right now, which you can avail from a product listed in this video. From display to design, Samsung has changed a bunch of things on S26 Ultra. Even the first look of the S26 Ultra is out and we saw some visible changes in the S26 Ultra. But recently, there's a source who shared a complete set of specs for the S26 Ultra in comparison to S25 Ultra. And looking at the specs, yes, there are some changes in it and some are really bad. So at the start, both devices are going to feature a 6.9 inches display. The change is in the display technology. S25 Ultra came with M13 while the S26 Ultra will be featuring the M14 panel. But the interesting thing is, S26 Ultra and S25 Ultra both are featuring the same 2600 nits of peak brightness, despite using the new technology on S26 Ultra. The processor is obvious, Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which got more details in it than just a simple change. And the list also shows a 12 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of RAM. Well, this is where things got different. S26 Ultra is featuring a 16 gigs of RAM option, but only for limited markets. I mean, even source confirmed, China would be one of it where we can see a 16 gigs of RAM on S26 Ultra. Else, even the 1TB version will be seeing a 12 gigs of RAM across all models. Now the cameras, 50 megapixel is same, but the 3x 10 megapixel is seeing a change for next year. Did you notice something? The aperture is better on S25 Ultra compared to the S26 Ultra. Well, this is the downgrade I was talking about. Even he shared this spec sheet. Well, while I have more details about the 3x telephoto sensor, other cameras will be same. Now the battery is another thing. 5000 mAh battery, same on both phones. Well, some suggest 5200 seems a bit off now, so no battery change next year. But the charging speed is seeing a change next year. 45 watt on S25 Ultra and 65 watt on S26 Ultra. So finally, a change we want is here. He didn't mention a wireless charging update, but S26 Ultra is also going to see a wireless charging update from 15 watt to 25 watt. Another major change we have on S26 Ultra is it will come with a magnets in it. The thickness is also changed from 8.2mm to 7.9mm, which is another plus, probably one of the slimmest Ultra from Samsung. And there is a slight change in the weight of a phone. 218 grams on S25 Ultra compared to 214 grams on S26 Ultra. Hardly notice a difference in real life. Now, let's see a camera change I was talking about. There was some back and forth about the cameras of S26 Ultra. Some said bad about the cameras and others actually agree on the good updates. But there was one thing which bothers people a lot, and that was a downgrade of 3 times telephoto sensor. Even ICE claimed it. Now, there's a source who shared a detailed analysis. According to him, the L versus K mystery. S25 base model and S25 Plus will come with 3 times S5K 3K1 sensor, which is 1/3.94 inches, 10 megapixel, and S25 Ultra got 3 times Sony IMX754 sensor, which is 1/3.52 inches, 10 megapixel. Now, rumor says the S26 Ultra gets a new S5K 3LD. K equals to compact, low-cost telephoto ultra-wide class. L series equals to hugely large sensors, and most importantly, no L series has ever been as small as 1/3.94 inches. S5K2LD is a 12 megapixel sensor which comes with 1/1.76 inches dual pixel, and the so-called evidence, just a text string S5K3LD found in the test firmware of S26 Ultra. That's it. Size confirmed? No. A 1/3.2 or 1/3.5 inches sensor fits perfectly in the S series safe zone camera space. Keeps the sleek design, keeps quality, resolution, maybe 12 megapixel or just a binning mode was used on a high performance flagship sensors, not a budget part. This is an interesting thing to hear about the 3 times telephoto sensor and potentially see an update on S26 Ultra. Maybe we're getting an update instead of a downgrade people were talking about before. The first look is also out for the S26 Ultra. There are a bunch of renders including some real life pictures surfaced online about the S26 Ultra, but there was no closer look. Now, a recent video from a fellow YouTuber showed the real design of Galaxy S26 Ultra, and yes, it is different compared to the S25 Ultra and even different compared to the S24 Ultra. Especially, the back design is what stands out on the S26 Ultra. Kinda like the fresh look on S26 Ultra compared to the S25 Ultra. Still, S25 Ultra also looks good for the most part. One key thing, if you notice or not, S26 Ultra is slightly more rounded compared to the S25 Ultra, and in reality, this would make a big difference. So the era of sharp corners are no more on Samsung phones. One other thing, S26 Ultra is thinner compared to the S25 Ultra, rated at 7.9mm compared to 8.2mm on S25 Ultra, making our way through one of the slimmest Ultra phones from Samsung. While S26 Ultra seems fresh for S lineup, it's not new to the world, as we already have a Z Fold 7 which shares the exact same design, and there was one small problem. This thing will wobble on the table. You have to use the cases to make it work. The design is changed on S26 Ultra, we all know. Now even the display is seeing a change on S26 Ultra. There are a bunch of renders already out about the S26 Ultra, but a new source confirming a big change on the front of the phone. According to iUniverse, this time the Galaxy S26 Ultra black version features a black frame, not the lighter silver. So the overall visual bezel is inevitably wider. This is an interesting concept. S25 Ultra, however, does have a similar thing with a jet black color, which was limited and you can only get it from Samsung. Else, S25 Ultra features silver frames, and that does make sense to differentiate the bezels and the sides of the phone. Even S26 Ultra is getting a similar bezels, yet in real world, yes, it's all gonna look a bit wider compared to the S25 Ultra. I mean, the bezels would look thicker compared to the S25 Ultra with the black color. If this is how they are doing this, then we can see a similar thing with other colors? I don't think so. And maybe people would prefer other colors instead of jet black or titanium black. Meanwhile, they are changing the display technology on S26 Ultra, which is another big plus for the S26 Ultra. Now, people have different opinion on it, but don't you guys worried about the back design and all? The processor is also seeing a change. Samsung was doing different thing this time with the S26 Ultra. Initially, we heard Samsung is going to add Exynos 2600 in S26 Ultra, but later down the line, the rumors changed, and now it is confirmed S26 Ultra will come with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. While initially, there were some bad stuff came up about the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, I mean the heating issue and how it can handle the heat properly and will struggle even against the predecessor Snapdragon 8 Elite. Well, now a real phone is tested, and I shared an information on Weibo. According to him, brothers are still worried about the Snapdragon 8 Gen 5 performance. The OnePlus A6T with its 3.56 million Antutu-Bench score will show you what true value is. Not only using the same flagship chipset as the 5th generation Snapdragon 8 Ultra, outperforming the 8 Elite, but also boosting the largest heat dissipation system in OnePlus history, the new Glacier cooling system. Now, there are a couple of things to consider. Well, it performed extremely well in test and all, but they actually upgraded the cooling system on this phone to keep it cool and gave us the stable performance. What Samsung should do is to add a bigger vapor chamber to handle the heat on Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. The release date is also confirmed for the Galaxy S26 Ultra. Samsung changed the lineup after seeing the sales numbers on Galaxy S25 Edge, so they added the Plus model and exclude the Edge. But there was rumors Samsung might delay the launch of the product, but my internal source was telling a different story. Now, new confirmed source suggests a launch, but before that, I've got an exclusive information about the Galaxy S26 Ultra launch date. According to my internal source, Samsung is going to launch S26 Ultra on 21st of Jan 2026. He even gave the exact date, which means there is no delay for the launch of S26 Ultra. Instead, a day earlier compared to the S25 Ultra. Now, other sources also suggest a similar thing. According to Chosen Biz reporting on the 10th, Samsung plans to hold a Galaxy S26 Unpacked event as early as late January next year and to launch the product in Feb. This is almost a similar launch as Galaxy S24 or S25 Ultra, which is a great news, since some suggest 2 months delay, which was massive at the time. Past week, there was a source who claims 25th of Feb as the launch date, which is about a month later, and it's completely wrong. On this note, if you're still here, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace out.